What's going on, guys? It's Ricardo. Today we're taking a look at some of the best cases for the iPhone 16 Pro and 16 Pro Max. And we're also going to see how case manufacturers have adapted to the iPhone's camera control button. Starting off with our first case, we have the Spigen Ultra Hybrid case for the iPhone 16 Pro Max. Now, focusing on the camera control, Spigen did the cutout. It does have here a section for the lanyard, if that's something that you're interested in, you want to put a lanyard on your phone. Moving on to the buttons. The buttons are nice and clicky on this case. They feel really nice. And it does have MagSafe, which is critical for me. I will not purchase any case that does not have MagSafe compatibility. I need the extra magnets. It is a must. I'm not a huge fan of the plasticky feel, but is it going to protect your phone? Yes, it is. That's probably going to be a 5 out of 5. Camera control. With the gap being here, it is nice that the edges kind of slant a little bit. There is like a curve there on the actual area that's next to the camera control button. So that's cool. Does it make it easier to use the camera control? Yeah, I will say the camera control button is pretty smooth. I'm zooming in right here. I will say that that's a decent implementation for it. It's not going to protect your camera control button from scratches or anything like that, but yeah, I would say it provides easy access. Overall, I would probably rank this case as a B+, just because I don't love the material, the friction with the case, I'm not a fan of, but if you're looking for a plastic case, this one's definitely going to do the trick. Next up from Spigen is, again, their Ultra Hybrid line, but this is the 01 case. This design is really nice. It does provide a little bit of texture. You can feel the pattern that's in this design. I will say it's pretty obvious right now that when the light hits it, there is a shadow that's casted from the layers of the materials inside the case. So I think that's pretty neat. Also supports MagSafe. The button layout and the camera control button is the same design as the previous case. So the only thing different with this one is that print that's on the back, which is really nice. This one is really cool. I will say that the color has like a slight green and magenta hue on some of the grays, which I'm not a huge fan of. You can tell here how the white is different for the MagSafe ring in different areas. I will say, I mean, it does look much better in my opinion than the last case. But again, I run into the same issues where the bumpers have that heavy friction feel because of the plastic. So this one's probably gonna get the same grade from me, B+. Gonna be great for protection, but for me, it's not something that I think is gonna be comfortable sliding in and out of my pocket. Next up on the tried and tested, we have two cases from Torras. This is the Torras O-ring, standing spin something, something, something. This case has that sort of light gray appearance all around. And then it has a smoky back. You can see right here, which looks really great. I love the way that the white iPhone finish just, you know, it has that milky kind of diffusion with this case. The sides are that nice gray color that I love. I mean, gray is just one of my favorite colors. So it's a light gray color on there. The feel is very nice. It feels like a high quality plastic, very thick and solid. The only question I have with this finish is it's so smooth. I can kind of see it, you know, sliding out the pocket when you kind of lift it up, and with the iPhone's weight, you know, it just sliding out your fingers, or if you have it on a surface, maybe the seat of your car, something like that. I could see times where this case could just, you know, slide off of something. But overall, the feel in the hand is really nice. Durability, you know, it's probably not going to be as good as the silicone cases, you know, in terms of protecting from scratches and stuff like that. There is plenty lip here around the edges for tabletop scratches. Same thing with the camera rings in the back. Button-wise, buttons do feel nice and clicky. I will say that the buttons on the silicone cases from Spigen felt a little bit better. This button feels like it has like a very shallow travel, which is interesting. That's something that I would, you know, I think of when I'm testing a keyboard or something, not necessarily a phone case, but these do have like a shallow travel. So the buttons feel thinner than if you were just using your phone without a case, which is rather interesting. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the buttons the texture on them too. They slope at the end, so they do feel like some sort of bean or something like that, especially the action button. But overall, still nice. It still feels good. The ring on the MagSafe magnets are what makes this case special. So we peel this ring out, and now we have this kickstand that we can go ahead and put the phone down. And you know, if you want to view the phone, maybe you're looking at a movie or something like that, you want to have YouTube, you have plenty of options to go ahead and, you know, put this phone at any angle right there. I will say this is probably one of the better cases if you use your phone for a lot of entertainment purposes. Also, if you're going to film yourself, you know, having this stand up here is great for taking selfies or filming yourself on camera. Kind of see here at this angle, I can go ahead and just film myself or take a quick selfie. It really is nice. It does feel super durable. It does spin completely 360 degrees. I'm not gonna lie, this case I thought was going to be my daily driver. The case is fantastic. My biggest issue is if you use MagSafe accessories, which is kind of the point of MagSafe, this case can become annoying. I say that because I use this MagSafe wallet from PopSocket. The magnets are extremely strong, which is fantastic. The only problem is when you're ready to take off the phone from a MagSafe accessory, the magnet gets pulled back, and sometimes it will just snap back, which isn't a big deal, but sometimes it won't let go. In my car, I have a MagSafe stand that I put my phone in whenever I'm in and out of my car, and sometimes this magnet is so strong that what ends up happening is the MagSafe will stay attached, and as I pull back, the phone just bends back from whatever accessory it's on. I will say, you know, the design of it looks beautiful in my opinion. It looks great. I'm a sucker for this design, and I think it complements the white iPhone 16 Pro and 16 Pro Max really well. So the camera control button. So unlike the Spigen cases, the camera control button is surrounded on the left and right sides right here. So even though there is that little bevel and the cutout for the button, there is kind of, you know, part of the case that's protruding on the side, which honestly makes it a little bit difficult to find and to press the camera control button. It is not the best implementation of the camera control button. I would probably give this case a C+, just because if you want to use the camera control button a lot, you're gonna run into, I think, comfort issues with that. So now we're entering the silicone round. This is the Jean Indigo, which is blue, and then this is the Midnight Green. Let's go ahead and pop in the iPhone. And right off the bat, I will say this case feels amazing. The silicone texture is really nice. I do like that elago has added metal buttons instead of plastic buttons. The click feels great. I don't know if you can hear that. The click feels amazing. And for the camera control, we can see that they have gone with the cutout, which is unfortunate. I kind of wish that they would have went with a button implementation. Now, the reason I got these silicone cases from elago is because they were much cheaper than the Apple silicone cases. And so I have the Apple silicone cases up next in the same colors that the elago cases came in. Let's go ahead and open these up and we can compare them side by side. Here we have the blue iPhone silicone case. This color is the denim color. So Apple calls this blue denim, elago calls this blue Jean Indigo. Obviously, Apple did implement a button for the camera control. I wish they would have used metal buttons, or maybe just a darker plastic button on the same color of the outer camera ring for the case, just because without the phone inside, this, you know, the buttons do feel kind of jelly-ish. So now we have the iPhone inside the case. Let's feel those buttons. Okay, those buttons feel good. Even though it's silicone, they feel real nice. There's a good response there. The camera control feels identical to how it does on the iPhone without a case, which is really nice. And then clearly, because it's flush, my finger can easily slide across back and forth on here. So I do like that a lot. I think that's how camera control buttons should be implemented on cases. In terms of the colors, I do think the darker color is nicer on the elago, but you know, the iPhone does have a nice contrast with the logo there. Again, I wish Apple would have done metal buttons. If I was going to pick one of these as a daily driver, I would pick the Apple silicone case just because that camera control button feels much better than it does with just the cutout. And then this is the green color, which Apple calls Lake Green, and elago calls this Midnight Green. And I will say I'm a bigger fan of the Apple color. The Lake Green on the Apple looks really nice. I think this might be the color I'm gonna keep. This one is really, really nice. And again, we have the camera control button here on the green color as well. So rounding out these silicone cases, the textures on both the Apple silicone cases and the elago silicone cases are nearly identical. I will say on the elago cases, you can see the seam lines where both sides of the case are joined together. And of course on Apple's case, it's just completely solid. There's no seam lines anywhere. So Apple definitely does it better in this regard. Price-wise, you'll see the prices right on the screen. You know, it's up to you if you value that. For me, I think the camera control execution on the Apple case is much better. So that would be worth the price difference in my opinion, because if the camera control feature is not something that you can easily access, you're never going to use it. So if you want to try to use it, then a case that I think has a button is going to be the best way to do that. And you know, a pet peeve of mine is the camera control cutout on the elago case is not even aligned perfectly. That's something that's just like so simple to get right. And you know, similar to the other cases from Torras, it's definitely uncomfortable when trying to use the camera control. For that, I probably have to give this case like a D, honestly, because I would rather just you cover it up at that point. Just sell me a case that ignores camera control altogether. Definitely skip the elago cases and pick up the Apple silicone cases instead. So next up we have the wildcard cases. These are cases from brands that I have heard of, but have never purchased an iPhone case from before. So first up we have ESR. So this is another silicone case, but it's a wild card because it has an interchangeable camera guard. So let me show you what I mean. So right now, the phone is in this case, and you can see here, it has this black camera guard that is covering or protecting the glass surrounding the lenses of the phone. This piece right here is interchangeable, and they give you a second one. I will say I like that the MagSafe rings are pronounced. It's also silicone, but it does give the case a little bit of texture, which is really cool. Buttons feel good, buttons feel tall, which is the opposite from the Torras cases that had a shallow click, but the buttons feel harder to press. Yeah, the buttons feel harder to press. It's almost like that silicone is like a thick layer of silicone because it does require a bit more effort to press. I'm not a fan of that. Protection wise, I think these cases will be just as fine. It does have the holes for the lanyards, which is nice. And then they did do the cutout for the camera control, which is nice because even though it is a cutout, which is again the lazy way, the front is cut out, which the elago cases should have done. And so that's open there. You can easily access it. Now sliding, that's a different topic because the cutout is so short lengthwise that when you try to slide, your finger does run into the sidewall of the case rather quickly. So in terms of like a long slide, that's a bit more difficult. So if you just lift your finger lightly and let your finger go over the case, it's not too bad. The camera control is responsive. If you're not lifting your finger, you're not getting a long travel distance on the zoom there for the camera control or any of the camera control swipe gestures. One thing that is a standout from this case is this case completely blacks out the phone, which is really cool. I might keep this one, to be honest, as a silicone case because just the all black is really nice. Yeah, the buttons are a little bit harder to click, but How often are you clicking the buttons? It's not terrible. It's not a terribly big deal. I'm not usually a fan of the camera guard, but the fact that it is kind of canceling out the color, and for the most part, you can't see that this is a white iPhone. I think that's great. I really like that. Let's go ahead and change the camera guard. So you just pop this inward like that. Pop the yellow one back in pretty simply. Sound is terrible. It feels like you're breaking it, but you're not. Again, white iPhone. I mean, just like that, the color disappears. That's great. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the yellow. I could see the appeal. Me, I'm not a huge fan. So I'll probably stick with black and keep this case as my silicone option. Overall, I would give this case, honestly, a B+. The only issue I have with this case is the buttons are a little bit hard. They're firm. They're really firm to press. And that is a problem with Apple Pay, where you have to double press real quick. Overall, I would give this case a B. All right, moving on with our next case, we have the Athlex MagSafe case from Caseology. I picked this case up as another wild card because it was different than what I normally would get. It's still gray, which is, you know, what I wanted as part of my daily carry. Gray or something that's clear, that's gonna accent the color of the iPhone. But I just wanted to see how this texture felt. It looked unique on the photos online on Amazon. So, you know, in the hand, I gotta admit, this case is terrible. It's not terrible. It's just, it leans too much on the rugged side. The case kind of, the material feels like rubber with sandpaper attached to it. I don't know if you can tell on camera, but it has these like anti-slip dots on the sides that feel like they are gonna tear your fingers off. My goodness. This texture right here feels almost like a car tire, which leads me to believe that this is gonna be very durable. But the looks of the case are certainly different. In person, it doesn't look as cool as it looked on the images. So this is definitely going back. But let's look at the buttons and the camera control before we, give it a final grade. Buttons are a little shallow on this case. They're not really clicky, which is interesting. Almost similar to the Torras, where the shape of the button is very like a pill. Like if you shaved a layer off of a pill and then put that on top of the buttons. I'm not in love with that. The camera control section, similar to elago, they have a raised lip on that front side of the camera control, which is an interesting choice. I'm not sure why you want that raised lip on there, but they have it on here. And I will say the fact that it does slope down makes it easier to push the camera control button. But yeah, I don't love it. I will add that the cutout is large enough to comfortably slide back and forth left and right. So if I open up the camera with camera control, I go ahead and zoom in, yeah, that does flow a lot easier than the last case, than the ESR case, and then the elago case. So that is, the left to right action on the camera control is much better. Buttons, texture, even the color of gray, it's almost like a grayish. There's a hint of beige in it. Overall, I would give this case, a C-. Unlike the elago cases, the camera control is usable, but the design, I'm not a huge fan. The final case that we're looking at today is the strongest wild card, because this case is the only one to have its own camera control button. So this case is the Unicorn Beetle from SUPCASE. It is clear, which I wasn't sure, how much I would love. I have to admit, I am most excited about this one. Overall, first impressions, this case feels incredible. The soft touch plastic is nice. It's kind of like Torras, where it's a little bit smooth, but not to the point where it feels like it's gonna slide out of the hand. I do love the two-tone of black and gray on here. The two-tone design looks fantastic. I really love on the buttons, it's also two-tone as well. I'm not sure if you can see here, but the buttons are that gray color. The contrast between the black and gray and the white, I think looks really sick. Let's listen to the buttons. The buttons have a great travel. They feel just like the iPhone buttons if I didn't have a case on. Now the camera control. The coolest part about this case has got to be this camera control button. It has these gold accents. You can see the copper like coils on here on the side so that the button is inductive. So when you're pushing on it, you know, the camera opens and then you can use it and you can easily slide back and forth. Wow, this feels great. I gotta admit, I think this might be a better implementation than Apple's own case, because it's just smooth. And my biggest issue with camera control is that it's flush on the body. This raises it a little bit. So the camera control is almost at the same level as a sleep button. I like that a lot. This might be the first and only A+. Well, I guess I didn't grade the Apple cases. The Apple cases are up there. They are a B+, if not for the fact that the buttons are silicone instead of like having a metal button. That would have been an A+ for them. This case, I think, is an A. This is an A+. Durability wise, I think it's gonna hold up really well. The corners are reinforced, which is nice. Man, I love the design. I love the two-tone. I think this is it. I think this is my daily driver. It also has the lanyard holes for anyone that's looking for a case that, you know, you can put a lanyard through. I think this is it. I think this is the best case out of our roundup today. Magnets are strong. Looks great with the pop socket. I mean, I love that. I'll leave this link down below. This pop socket, if you guys are looking for a way to grab your phone and you want something that has a wallet, like this thing has held up. It's over 3 years old now. This thing is awesome. I mean, it has been put through hell and back. And the pop socket can be changed, so you can just slide that off and change out your pop socket design if you want. But this is great. I mean, it's a fantastic minimal wallet. I love it. I'll link it down below in case anyone's interested. But this is it. This is the winner. This is the best iPhone case in our roundup. The SUPCASE Rhino Beetle with MagSafe compatibility. I'll have it linked down below. I am in love. This case is fantastic. I have 0 notes on this case. It feels great. It looks great. I love that you can't see any of the silver titanium or white titanium edges around the screen. This will definitely be my daily driver. Thanks again for watching, guys. If you're about to order a new Tesla and want to see how you can save $2,000, go ahead and click this video or click here to see what are the best accessories you should get. Thanks again for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one.